Welcome back.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here again.
Well, it's great to be back on here. My name is John Dalton. You can find me Creek Fishing Adventures on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. So I put out 2 to 3 videos a week on YouTube, and that's my full-time income. Just catching anything in usually creeks, streams, ditches. Now I've gotten into kayaking and doing a lot of things, but just the curiosity of just being able to have fun catching a variety of fish is really kind of what grew the channel and drew people to it. And so I had the idea for probably a year, and I wanted to kayak across Tennessee, 5 different locations in 5 days. And I wanted to do it all through public spots, all through places that I can go. I went by myself and I lined up a service that would drop me off. The last river was probably my favorite, the Piney River. It was just the most beautiful river I've ever been down, I think. The water was perfect. It had like that aqua blue. I caught 2 or 3 good like 17-inch smallies.
Wow.
And I stayed at a campsite that was there right on the river. I was just so glad to explore and find new places like that. It just makes me want to go find even more.
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We got a great show lined up for you today. We are on location at Uchee Refuge in southeast Tennessee. It's a great place to be. It's beautiful behind us, and Miss Mimi Barnes is helping me co-host.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. It is so much fun, and we do have a great show lined up, don't we?
Yes, I'm excited. We're going to talk fishing. It's cold. It's getting cooler. It's that winter time of year, but we can talk about fishing anytime.
It's ramping up, actually, so...
We have Mr. John Dalton with Creek Fishing Adventures with us today. John has been with us multiple times, and glad to have you back.
Hey, glad to be back. Always glad to talk fishing no matter the weather.
Yeah. You do it all year long, don't you?
Yes, sir.
It doesn't matter when it is. He's always out there chasing whatever fish will bite and having a good time at it. But let's update folks on where they can find you and learn a little bit about you. So the folks who haven't heard your stuff or seen you before.
Yeah, he's been with us one time before.
Oh, well, me and you once, and then he came out with us in Nashville one show. And,
That's right.
Yeah.
So
welcome back.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here again.
Well, it's great to be back on here. My name is John Dalton. You can find me Creek Fishing Adventures on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much anywhere like that. So I put out videos, 2 to 3 videos a week on YouTube, and that's my full-time income. So I've been doing it for about 8 years almost, and full-time for 4 years.
Yeah, time flies.
But that really stemmed from your love of seeing what's in that creek.
Yeah, just catching anything in usually creeks, streams, ditches. Now I've gotten into kayaking and doing a lot of things, but just the curiosity of just being able to have fun catching a variety of fish is really kind of what grew the channel and drew people to it, and I still get to do it all the time. So
yeah, because you were a technician by trade.
Yeah, right? HVAC.
Yeah. So the transition, that's a pretty cool move there to be able to fish for a living. That's awesome. Yeah,
went from fixing air conditioners and then just dreaming about getting off work. Now it's like I can go anytime I want, but I gotta edit videos and do stuff like that. But it's kind of weird job change for sure. But I work a lot harder at this than I did at my HVAC job. Still a lot of hard work, but it's a lot more fun and get to go and do a lot of different types of trips and enjoy that.
Well, my unit's not heating as well. Is it? How do you, no, I'm just kidding.
And we know you've spent the majority of your life in Middle Tennessee and now over here in more Eastern Tennessee. Do you have a favorite place that you go or love going back to?
Just all over. I mean, I still feel like there's so many places in Tennessee that I haven't got to explore, so I can't say I have a favorite place yet because there's so much I haven't fished yet. But some of the creeks in Middle Tennessee in the summertime are they're some of the best, like smallmouth. They're just beautiful streams. So that's definitely an area I really like to get at. But we're right here on the side of the mountains. We got all kinds of awesome streams around here and lakes, and there's just so much around here that's fun to fish.
Yeah.
And if I recall, you used an app so you knew what kind of property you were on. You still use an app or I know basically where you're going fishing a lot of times. But
there's a few, I can't think of them. You probably know some of them.
Yeah, like Connex and things like that.
Yeah, those definitely work. There's several out there that kind of help find locations and stuff like that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah. A lot of just even a Google map can pinpoint some bodies of water in the
Yeah.
bends and things and see what. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So here recently, I've been following some of your Facebook stuff and YouTube stuff, and you've been doing some in studio things. You got a little home studio going now. How's that going?
Yeah, I finally kind of put together like a little background and set up my camera and everything, and it helps me edit faster. So it definitely gives me. I feel like I have an office room now to go into, and been doing some live streams. I haven't done it recently as much. I'm thinking about picking that back up in the winter, just talking with other, YouTubers, other fishermen, kind of like what you're doing here.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's always fun to do, and just getting the different ideas and see what other people are interested or what new lure rods are coming out.
And you're collaborating. It seems like with other fishermen. I see you out hanging out with other guys, and
It makes it more exciting.
Yeah.
It's I've made I think 800 or 900 videos now.
wow.
So like it's you still got to get excited. You know how it is. Producing this show. So when I get to go out with other YouTubers, it gives me a new excitement and a new just something different and just fun getting together with other guys and hanging out whether we catch fish or not. So
Yeah, yeah. It makes it much more fun.
So another question I have for you is, out of all the fishing, all the types of fish you might reel in, do you have a favorite that bites?
it's hard to get away from smallmouth and just like smallmouth in streams and clear water. Watching them fight, watching the reaction. That's definitely got to be my favorite to go for. But my favorite fish is a green sunfish, and I just call it like the ultimate creek fish because and around here is like. And it's like also a sign that's like that's what my logo is, green sunfish.
Yeah.
But like they're only in little creeks. They're way in little places you wouldn't even think they live in the smallest amount of water, and like they don't get active till it like warms up. And once they get active, they're like hungry, hungry, hungry.
Yeah.
So they're just a cool little sunfish.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, this past year, you took a little trip in your with your kayak and,
Yeah.
and maybe even just waded some streams, but you did a 5-day tour across the state, right?
Yeah.
And so you called me and you said, "Hey, you got some connections here and there. You're just trying to find, some good ways to go about it, but you made it happen, and I'm sure you got some stories to tell. I'm hoping you can kind of take us on that tour in a short amount of time."
Yeah. I'll try to take you through it. So I had the idea for probably a year, and I wanted to kayak across Tennessee, 5 different locations in 5 days, and I wanted to do it all through public spots, all through places that I can go. I went by myself, and I lined up a like a service that would drop me off. And a lot of these were places that they do float tubes and stuff like that. So I waited right till school started, like in August, and I was like, all right. So I started on the first one though. So I lined it up. I had 5 places lined up, and I'm like, I'm going to go. I'm not sure what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen the next day. So the first one, I went on the Nolichucky, way over there in Irwin, Tennessee, and I got in and flipped my kayak, and I was underneath the water
Wow.
within the first minute and a half. Though it had rained a lot, and the water was flowing, and I got into some
Fast.
current, and like looking ahead, I really couldn't see it. It just sucked me into it and was pulling me down. I hit some waves that my whole kayak was underwater. I come back up, then I hit another one, and then the side current came and hit me, and I went under. I went under. I was wearing my life jacket, so there's your put because I flipped a few times, and I know enough people that anything could happen.
Yeah.
Especially when in the water I thought was shallow, but I didn't even hit the bottom. I'm in strong current. I come up, I grab my kayak, and I got 2 fishing poles in my hand, and things are floating everywhere. And I'm like kicking my feet trying to get up to the side before I go down another rapid.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it was really scary there for a second, and but yeah, I turned around and drug my kayak back up to the place where I put in, told them drop me down back to get my truck. I'm like, I'm not doing this.
So day one was a little rough.
So yeah, I was ready to go home, but I'm like, no, I gotta push on. Second day, I went to I was gonna go to the Powell River over there around the border of Kentucky, and that night before it rained and it got muddy. So then I went to McMinnville, and there was muddy. Then I went to the Duck River, it was muddy, and then I got all the way over to I went to the last river that I was gonna go to, the Buffalo River,
Okay.
all the way across. It's not way over there, but it's pretty far from here.
Yeah.
And I'd always wanted to do the Buffalo River, and it was beautiful, and it's a really nice big river. There's a lot of campsites on it.
Yeah.
So I did end up doing that one. Then I ended up coming back kind of across Tennessee and hitting a couple more, and
To end it on a high note.
Yeah, I caught fish every day. I had fun. It was all new places, and they were all places that all you got to, people ask all the time, how do I find places? And that's why I wanted to do this video or do this series. If you just sit down and look up places, you can find places to go. And everywhere I went had campsites and services that would drop you off or provide you with a kayak. So if you want to find places to go, we got a lot of them in Tennessee, and that's where I think I want to do it every year, doing new spots because there's so many different rivers you can go down.
Yeah, that's cool.
So in talking about 5 days and 5 new locations and planning, one of the things we mentioned was just hitting on some safety tips. And it sounds like you have a few to offer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
From your first day.
day one.
yeah. You definitely want to be wearing a life jacket the first thing, but have everything tied down, just prepared and planning out where you're going. Like if I'd have known more, I shouldn't have gone down the first river. But they send whitewater guys down there, and the water was a little higher than normal. So, but there was a person that dropped me off, and there was a place to pick up, and that's where I had on all of them. So I had people that knew I was in there, and
Right.
Yeah.
So you had
going.
somewhat of a float plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prepared where if you don't come back or don't call, they're going to come looking for you.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, they know.
and your life jacket.
Yeah.
I wondered,
Life jacket, yes.
are you watching the weather? Are you watching the weather before you plan a trip?
Yeah, I got there's a river app that you can look at water flow and how much rain they've gotten. And so I tried to plan it all ahead, but whenever you're trying to plan out a 5-day trip, you don't know how it's going to rain.
Yeah.
You know,
Mother Nature has its own plan.
so that was back when we got rain. We haven't had rain forever since then. So, but yeah, and that's where I like, there was 2 or 3 rivers I wanted to go that I'm like, I'm just going to have to go next year. But there was alternate rivers that were like, different watershed, hour away that was, totally clear compared to the muddy ones.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, but also just being persistent and like, I'm going to go find this places. And if this doesn't work, I'm just going to keep driving until I find one.
Yeah. Just keep going.
And you mentioned tie down your gear. So did you get everything back? Chucky?
Most of it, luckily, a lot of it had like, there was some that fell out and it kind of washed to the side where I picked it out of the water.
Wow.
I lost like one rod and reel and like a net and I think one cam or something. So I lost some stuff, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Glad you were safe. Glad
Yeah.
you were wearing your life
Yes.
jacket. That's
Yeah.
a big thing for us.
Definitely. Yeah. That's good tips there. Tying things off, maybe putting some floats
Yeah,
on some of your gear, especially some of the expensive stuff you don't want to lose if you drop it,
sure.
It's a challenge. Dry bags are good, I guess, on kayaks and
I ruined a drone because I thought it was in a dry box, but it wasn't. It wasn't totally dry. So I got another one. So now I'm like extra careful where I put it. And yeah, dry bags. I've got 2 or 3 of those better ones now.
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, out of those 5 days, you said you caught fish every day. What was the big fish? What was the most fun? Which one was your favorite stop?
The last river was probably my favorite, and people might get mad if I say this, but it's the Piney River, and it was just like the end. It was just the most beautiful river I've ever been down. I think the water was perfect. It had like that aqua blue, and it was clear, and it has like these rock bluffs, and I caught 2 or 3 good like 17-inch smallies.
Wow.
And it was just like the last day of the trip, and it just felt like and I stayed at a campsite that was there right on the river. Yeah, that was just one of those places that's just like, I was just taking pictures the whole way,
Nice.
and trying to fish. It was just, like some of those places you don't even realize they're in Tennessee, and there's like I said, there's lots of services that let you float down them or send you down them. So yeah, I was just so glad to explore and find new places like that, and just makes me want to go find even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I love about Creek Fishing Adventures, what I love about what you do is that it could be right out your back door, or
yeah.
you could plan a grand adventure, 5 days
Yeah.
across, 5-day tour, but you also recognize that there are all these small places, and you don't have to have a ton of gear with you to enjoy fishing and getting outside and being in the water. So,
Oh yeah, it can be very simple. Some of my favorite places, we're right on Tennessee River and Chickamauga Lake. The creeks that feed into Chickamauga Lake, they're loaded with fish.
Yeah.
Especially when that water rises, when they raise it in the springtime. as soon as that water comes up, I go right to those creeks because everything swims up those creeks.
Yeah.
And I can be catching bass or panfish or, crappie or anything. But also all through the winter, that's kind of like I fish a lot of the banks around here, just catching all kinds of different fish off the banks.
Well, you have your kayak with you today. I know before we started shooting, did you have any luck fishing today? Did you try any spots?
Actually, it was in my truck from kayaking the other day. I basically don't take it out
You
because
live in that truck.
I'll drive somewhere and just stop randomly, like throw it in.
Yeah.
Or just never know. But I had a tournament the other day, so I hadn't even taken it out of the truck yet.
Well, it's that time of year. It's getting colder. It's wintertime. What's some tips? What kind of tips do you have for folks who want to get out there and keep fishing this time of year? I mean, some folks maybe want to deer hunt or be out doing some small game hunting or something, but those fishermen that are itching to go, what do you suggest?
Yeah, just do it. I was kind of guy that I would as soon as deer season come around, I was like, oh yeah, I'm putting everything away. I'm not going out there. There's no point going out in the winter. I've learned that the winter can be the best fishing, and now I look forward to it. As long as you dress appropriately, like stay warm, stay bundled up, make sure your kayak's not going to, I got one that's real big and stable. I'm real comfortable on, but I'm not going to do anything as sketchy as some of the places I'll go in the summer.
Right.
So I don't want, but also I keep a dry bag of clothes in the wintertime. That way, if something was to get wet, I can change out into something dry. But
That's a good tip.
But if you're kayaking, but I bank fish a lot in the winter because the other day I caught skipjack, red ear, bluegill, crappie, largemouth, golden shiner, and something else, all off a little channel right off the lake here, and on a little bobby garlands. So there's so many fish that come up shallow that you can fish for that some people don't even think to fish for. But also bass fishing is great in the winter. Last January, we had a kayak tournament. It was middle of January. It was 40 degrees, and I would have never gone out and fished, but it was a tournament day. So I'm like, well, I'm going to go out. And I'm all dressed, ready to go. I had one of the best days.
Wow.
The fish were just hitting everything. It was crazy. I'm like, I would have never thought that this was possible. Plus, it's quiet. There's no jet skis. There's no pleasure boaters. And these areas around here get really busy in the summer, but in the winter, it's so much more quiet and peaceful and a lot more relaxing. And you got it to yourself pretty much.
Well, it may be a more dangerous, not more dangerous, but falling in cold water can be really dangerous. But the fact that there's not a lot of people out there, it may be a little safer floating on some of these areas, especially if you're in a kayak and trying to fish some of these little tournaments and things. But that's cool. And you mentioned Bobby Garland. So what is a Bobby Garland?
Oh yeah.
For those who don't know, because I'm still wondering.
It's like it's just a little 2-inch like minnow style lure, and I call it like a multi-species lure. It can catch anything, and sometimes that's all you need to just if you want to go out and have fun on an ultralight rod or light rod, little 1/16, 1/32 ounce jig head, a little bitty 1/2, 2-inch lure, and you can just go through and you don't know what you're going to catch because there's so many different things coming around. And I like lures like that. You can just catch all kinds of stuff with them.
Yeah.
Well, I see on your social media the Helgermite. You're throwing that. I've been looking for those things. I can't find any. But that seems like I used to fish with the real ones. You dig them up and find them, and they're great to fish with. So, any tips and tricks with those? Those seem like they're just golden.
That's one of my favorite. I was fishing up in the Holston on Kingsport recently, and
For smallies.
This was like it was like 35 degrees that morning. This was just a few weeks ago, and started off the day I'm throwing a spinnerbait. I can't get a bite. Finally switched to the Helgermite, and I'm just let it drift in the current. And I started boom. I caught like an 18, a couple 17s, and like a bunch of fish. And because I was like, I use it a lot, and then I kind of forget about it. And then you're like, sometimes making that little adjustment, something more subtle, just drifting in the current when the fish are down there, and that's just a great lure for that. It just kind of floats right into them. Yeah. But I love fishing in current. Just let it balance and drift along the bottom. And because some of these rivers, we have great smallmouth fish in some of these rivers, and they could be all over. They could be in the middle. In this day, the fish were kind of more in the middle of the river instead of just like on the banks.
Well, let's give that company a plug just so I'll know where to find them.
Yeah, Nico Lures.
Nico, that's it.
Nikko. And they make it's a really durable soft plastic, and most of the stores in Tennessee, most of the little local tackle stores now carry them.
Okay,
so
cool.
If you go in there and ask, I've kind of helped bring those in. So a lot of the ones actually have those, and they make several other lures, but they're just super durable, long lasting. You can catch 40, 50 fish on them, and it's not going to wear it out.
I've been to a few big box stores and haven't found any yet, but I'll have to keep searching. Hit some of these little mom and pops.
Or get out the shovel again.
Yeah, get out the shovel, start digging around, pulling rocks up and things. Oh man. Well, anything else this time of year? Any other baits that you think would be fun, good opportunities? You mentioned the
Bobby Garland.
Bobby Garland's, the Helgramite. What else is?
Little trout.
Spinnerbait wasn't too much success.
Yeah, a lot of times. I mean, it depends on where you're at, but a lot of times the fish are slow down a little bit, and you got to fish a little slower.
Yeah.
And if you're multi-species fishing, that sometimes even the little bluegill, they'll bite. They won't bite this size lure, but they'll bite one about to half the size. It's just a little bit difference, but it gets them biting. Like a little trout magnet, little tiny little lure. I love throwing something like that on like 2-pound line. And you can, there's always trout fishing. We got a lot of trout fishing around here, but I just love catching the warm water species. And we got yellow perch. There's so many different fish that you can go for. But if you just go to the riverbank or I went down the river and just before we got here, and I was just looking. There's bait fish all up and down the river, and then every once in a while something was busting at them. I was just watching. It's just fun to get out. The water gets a little clearer. There's still a lot of active fish out there, and a lot of different species that you might not normally target. So that's what I like catching, going for a lot of different stuff. Don't just get caught up on one fish when there's so many other fish that are fun to catch.
Well, you mentioned the trout magnet. That reminded me, this is right in the middle of the winter trout stocking period. Especially, Middle Tennessee's got a lot of stops. West Tennessee's got some stops. So check the website for that, tnwildlife.org. But when it comes to trout, do you find yourself chasing trout sometimes? Not as much, I don't think, but
No, I finally caught some wild brook trout here
nice.
a while back on the North Carolina-Tennessee border.
awesome.
Nice.
That was the first time actually catching those wild, where I've caught them stocked before. I do like to go for them, and but I don't do it as much. I don't know why, but it's another, it's just another option. There's so many different, like I said, there's so many different things that you can choose to kind of go target, and that's why I like the variety of it.
Yeah.
So from what I recall, when we've interviewed you before, if something's not working, you're pretty quick to change up your bait.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll move around. I'll get some live worms. I'll pull those out.
Yeah.
And sometimes that will open up a whole another bunch of fish that you don't know are right out there. So yeah, I'll go through different lures. If I'm kayaking, I have 2-3 rods with several different lures, from really light stuff to big stuff, and I've been messing around with bigger glide baits and like mag drafts, or like 6 and 7 inch baits.
Wow.
Watching
In creeks.
Yeah. In creeks and rivers and stuff, where it sometimes it'll be like a 12-inch fish will eat this big lure, but it gets a reaction, so it's something new. Yeah, and there's so many new things that you can go through, and that's where fishing is just. I mean, a lot of people try to bottle themselves in, I feel like, and you can just open it up, do it all, do everything, try it all. There's so many different things to try out there.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about it in the past, but you've kind of branched out into some of those kayak tournaments and things like that. How's that going, and what's the next year look like for that?
I'm going to be going to a national championship in Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
That I won through Tennessee. Bass Nation has a kayak trail that you can do, and you can qualify for other ones. And the Tennessee Bass Nation, we actually had our championship in Gunnersville, and I got 7th out of like 100 and something people. So I got qualified to go to the national championship.
Very cool.
And last year I actually did national championship. It was on Chickamauga right here.
Okay.
Yeah. And I got 13th out of 140. I got the last paying spot, made $1,000.
Wow.
Perfect. Yeah, that's awesome.
And so that was fun because it was in Knoxville, the Bassmaster Classic.
That's
I got
right.
to go up there and see a bunch of people and see some of the professionals and stuff. So it's something I never thought until I watched some other buddies do it. And then there's a local kayak trail that I started fishing with, and that kind of pushed me to do more. And I was always kind of guy that, like, I don't want to do tournaments. I don't want to, not make fishing fun. But what tournaments does, it just puts another, like, more pressure and more intensity. And I'm a basketball player, so like I love the pressure. I want I want that last shot. I want to be playing the toughest team. So kayaking tournaments, and especially I feel like a lot, like I hadn't done it in a long time, and you're competing against guys that have been doing it 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I can take those guys. I can catch fish.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And then I just have fun with it. I'm not trying to win. Usually I just want to be in like the top 10,
Yeah, just
top
catch
15.
fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's fun. Well, before we run out of time, got a few minutes here. Just your store. I don't think you had the gear last time we talked, but you've kind of branched out into some merch. Tell us how that all got started.
Yeah, it's just something I've been wanting to do as I've been growing my YouTube channel, and I'm at 147,000 subscribers, which is way more than I ever thought. I was
Yeah, it's awesome.
starting out,
From all across the state, right? Or from all across the country.
Yeah. I say majority are probably Tennessee, but it's from all over the whole country and other countries. But so I'm like, I wanted to start something that just my own brand, and so we came up with like a new logo, and we're going to come up with some other stuff. So about 3 months ago, I just started a store. My sister's running it, and her kids are helping out with it.
Nice.
So it gives them something to do, and I pay them to package them and send them out.
Yeah, there you go.
And my brother helped me start the store. And so now we have a store. You can find us at creekfishingadventures.com. That'll lead you to it. I got links in like all my social media stuff or in my videos. And we got hoodies, a couple hats, a couple shirts. I got a couple shirts that say fish anywhere, fish everywhere. That's kind of my motto, just to do all kinds of fishing. And it's people really supporting it. It's taking off, and I'm excited about seeing what it happens in the future. But yeah, you can buy clothes that supports my channel now.
Awesome. I'll have to get something. I'm gonna check that store out. I think it's cool. I love the logo.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, it just it pops, and I think it's great. I think it's great look. As it gets colder, we talked about fishing here in Tennessee and it being cold, but you also are thinking, let's go south when it gets cooler. It gets a little warmer down that way. What's you got any plans to go south and chase some fish?
Yeah, I like to travel. I've been here for 4 years now, or I've been full-time YouTube in this area for 4 years. So I fished every little creek and ditch around here. So I have to start traveling to go find new exciting things. Mm-hmm. So I'm supposed to be probably doing a trip South Georgia in about a week.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just going to go ahead and go down to South Florida after that.
Wow.
And there's several different fish I plan to target, but there's some areas in South Florida around the Everglades that you can catch so many different types of fish, and it's such a different environment down there. It feels like you go into whole another world whenever you go
for sure
down there, the Everglades stuff. So then there's brackish water, you can catch fish, and and then there's fresh water that has all kinds of different species. So I can go down there and just catch a bunch of fish, and you can fish off the bank. You don't even have to have anything. I'll probably take my kayak and get in there with the gators. So
yeah.
I had a couple of them follow me last time, but
that's what I was going to say. Those waters, they are a lot different, like you said, and there's some critters in there that you're not used to seeing in Tennessee.
File a float plan. Check the weather. Wear your life jacket.
No wait. I won't be waiting anything down there, but
make sure your sister and brother-in-law know where you are.
For sure.
Yeah, share that knowledge. I will say that watching your nephew on your commercials and stuff you've been doing is great.
Yeah.
I mean, having him join in and the little back and forth y'all have going, it's great.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's fun to watch. So, well, thank you, John. I appreciate you
thanks, John.
making the trip over and coming to chat with us.
I'd
like
it was
to
awesome.
get with you when we can when we're in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, we got to set up another fishing trip.
Let's do it. We did go fishing this past year and had a great time. Matt Cameron went with us, dropped the tailgate, and my son caught a few fish. You showed him a few things. He enjoyed it.
That's cool.
But I appreciate you sharing that. Sharing your love for fishing with others and taking them and showing them spots. It's fun.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, thanks for that.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, Mimi, I think this is another one in the books.
Yeah, fantastic.
I appreciate you lining these up and helping us out, and
always fun.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, this is Tennessee WildCast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Keep coming back. Find us, follow us, share us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee WildCast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.